world-renowned human performance expert, executive coach, best-selling author.
And I want to congratulate Ron Kardashian.
Over 12,000 hours of one-on-one coaching and mentorship.
He's a health and cognitive expert,
Known as a spiritual confidant to respected industry leaders. CEO of 3 companies.
Coach and minister Ron Kardashian.
Good friend, Coach Ron Kardashian.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Always Winning in Leadership. I'm the host, Tim Boyko, and today's topic, why you are not getting promoted. It's not your performance. Here with me, I have the gifted executive coach, Ron Kardashian, and I'm excited to learn what you have about this because promotion is always about performance, right? Like always, I'll be back at the end of the episode with more questions about this topic as we dive into this and learn more. Take it away, Coach.
Thank you, Tim. Honored by your intro as always. Thank you guys for joining. We're going to dive right into this. Tim, please make sure you give me a heads up on time. I want to be sensitive to everybody here. Over the years, I've been working with professionals on developing the inner man, developing your corporate infrastructure, but not just so you can get promoted. It's so you can create a new architecture. We call this leadership performance. And I think most coaches give you strategies. What has separated me over the last 25 years is I give you integration. Most frameworks live in your mind, and mine are installed into your nervous system, your behaviors, and your leadership identity. So you don't have to think about performing, you become it. And what's happening with executives and leaders, you're looking for a new job, you're looking for a promotion. I mean, all the articles in Forbes saying the smartest companies hire from within. Working with an executive the other day, she was frustrated on why she wasn't getting promoted. She's on point, she's performing well, and she was trying to perform. And when she came into my office, I said, stop performing because you're forcing the outcome. I said, I want you to start embodying the version of you that naturally produces for them. And she looked at me and she said, well, how do I do that? I said, well, the research from the HeartMath Institute shows that when the heart and brain are in coherence, leaders experience 23% improvement in your performance and measurable increase in emotional regulation. So she was omitting an anxiety when she was trying to get promoted and they were repelling it. So I'm going to talk to you about that today. Regulating the nervous system is the architecture of human performance at the source, right? We don't coach surface behavior. And I think this is why so many people are getting so many results. So if you're interested in our programs, just join the show. Send us a DM afterwards. It wasn't a plug for our coaching, but everyone has been asking me, how do we, get more involved? How can I make an appointment? And we do a free 15-minute strategy session for you. Free of charge, so we can really map out and see where you are, isolate it, and then we follow it by some analytics, beautiful 6-page report, and shows you your strengths and liabilities. So take advantage of that. We're giving away a free promotion right now. So DM Tim or I when we're done, and we'll get you started. So to that point, most professionals think that if I perform well, I'll be recognized, kind of like this woman. The good news is I told her, you be proactive, you reach out, give them the Forbes stat that says companies that hire within are the most productive. She had access right to the COO who had been conversing with her. And I said, send it right to him. And little did she know, he never responded, but he told head of HR, he said, did you see who applied? And when she came back to me, I thought to myself, wow, this is not a progressive company. They're not even looking at the internal assets they have within them. So if you're the head of HR, you start there, and we'll help with that because she underwent an assessment. So I was able to send her assessment right to HR and they saw her internal regulation modules rather than her extensive leadership ability and management. That was just the outcome, but what brought her there? And so now she has just been advanced to the second interview. And they said to her, this was fascinating, Tim. They said to her, the COO said, did you see who applied? And she goes, we're so excited that you applied. So she was immediately advanced after a year of being frustrated. So your advancement is not driven by performance alone. It's driven how others experience your nervous system under pressure. probably an anchoring insight. You guys can look this up. Harvard Business School study found that executives, I have it right here. I memorized it, then I forgot it. But basically executive presence, your disposition, how you think, how you act, right? Body language, 70%, 25% of what you say, 80% of how you act and your presentation. It accounts for up to 26% of what it takes to get promoted. And that often outweighs raw performance. So now when I talk about the HeartMath Institute, shows that the heart-brain coherence directly impacts your decision making. So communication style, your clarity, your emotional stability. One of my favorites is University of London, the College of London. They showed that emotional regulation, not IQ, Tim, is the strongest predictor of long-term career success. So people don't promote your output. They promote the state you operate from. Not negating education, knowledge, or degrees. All of that is very important. But let's talk about the lie of performance, because here you are, you're doing everything right. So why are you still stuck? Why are you still in there, in that position? Why haven't they recognized you, right? Performance does not equal promotion. The corporate myth of mediocrity, right, is what I want to challenge. And I want to introduce that you're being evaluated at the level you're maybe not aware of. There's a famous proverb that I always bring up in business. It's so beautiful. It says, as a man or a woman thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. That's not mental agreement. That's an internal state. This is an area that I've worked on personally. I was a very dysregulated person the early years, up until very recently, studying this and realizing how I am altering my outcomes because I'm not regulated. Now, a lot of guys will say, you got to push, you got to hustle, you got to drive, and all of that is great. I'm not saying to not do that, but there's a higher dimension of optimization. If performance alone got people promoted, every high performer would be leading. They're not, because leadership isn't granted to your output. It's entrusted to your nervous system. Regulator. Say that with me. Regulator. Start calling yourself the regulator. Now, just so you understand the anatomy of this, your heart is influencing your career more than your resume is. Why? Because there's 40,000 neurons in your heart. That's neurocardiology. So it sends more signals to the brain than vice versa. Now, this is really breakthrough information for you, because once you begin to be conscious of this, you can start emitting a new vibe. You know, ladies, how you'll meet a guy and you say, the guy had a bad vibe. Something's being omitted. That's why they call the heart, has a rhythm. A bad heart has an arrhythmia, right? Hence the word rhythm. And so there is a cadence. And now they're showing that it expands 3 to 5 feet, maybe 6 feet out around you. So you can see that if you come in this concentrative, meditative, coherent is a better word, state where you're just in tune, nothing weird, just breathe in. I'm going to engage my heart today. My heart's got a powerful engine in it. I'm going to use it. Come on, heart, give me insight, give me an edge, right? It's like people love people who lead from the heart. We can feel it. But when you're dysregulated, studies show that you reduce your decision-making ability, more poor decisions, low presence. When you're coherent, you've got clarity, you've got influence, and most importantly, trust. And that's really our lane. I have created a concept that, has just been established on the backbone of all the great researchers before me. So I don't want to take credit for it. I want to be grateful, see gratitude, stay in humility, even though it's ours. It's called HFR. We use this in our practice, heart first regulation, where we train leaders how to lead this way versus this way. And heart coherence improves cognitive processing, speed, emotional control, executive presence, output, meeting deadlines, regulation, and then you merge that into your home life, right? You're going home. Let me just say I'm guilty. I'd go home completely dysregulated. I didn't have like a tool system to help me decompress. It used to be go to the bar. I need a drink. Well, don't do that anymore, but I used to. Smoke a little weed. Let me calm down. Used to. Don't do that. Oh, take a few gummies. CBD is so good. Just leave the THC out. Look at Dr. Amen, the gentleman who endorsed my first book. All of his studies on how marijuana is actually reducing cognitive function. While it may create a sedative short term, long term, it's not helping your brain. Your boss isn't just evaluating what you say. They're reading what your nervous system is broadcasting. Never forget it. You say, Coach, this is so above what I've ever heard. Well, in order to take you to another level, you got to think on another level. High achievers are always interested in the latest progression. It's kind of like investing in the stock market. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Everybody's saying the same thing. I don't understand this. Well, if you don't start learning it, you're going to fall behind on what potentially could be one of the greatest investment opportunities in the history of the world, like the oil industry. I coached a gentleman early on who had wells on his property, and his father invested in oil, and I knew nothing about oil. He said, well, we collect 20, 30,000 every month. They found oil. We were able to work an agreement. I started learning about it. He had oil sitting under his property. You've got oil sitting under your brain. Metaphorically, you've got a treasure in the earthen vessel, in your vessel, and it's in your heart. Okay, 3 hidden signals that block promotion. Number 1, emotional inconsistency under pressure. Emotional inconsistency, guilty. If you're dysregulated, you can't regulate. So initiate a practice of breathing and regulate. Number 2, lack of grounded presence. You overtalk people, you're over-explaining, no voice fluctuation. We use a coaching principle here, and we teach leaders on tonal excellence. Powerful game changer. And number 3, energetic instability. People don't feel safe trusting you with more because you're constantly yo-yoing. One day you're happy, one day you're sad. And this is powerful for accelerating and removing the blocks of promotion. Now, this is backed by research. This isn't just Coach Ron. Studies from, it was either Oxford or Stanford, I believe it was Stanford, show that leaders are promoted based on perceived trust, stability, not just competence. Do you remain consistent? I remember doing work at a clinic when I was strictly doing physical fitness training, but it was a high-level clinical setting with a physician present. And the 2 administrators at the desk, really high-end facility, right? I would come in and say, good morning, everybody. And she, after a couple months, and the one girl said to me, and she was a pretty cool woman, very forward, very outspoken. So she had no problem saying, come on, Ron, is this fake or what? Are you always in this good mood in the morning? And I responded with her, say, yeah, pretty much, And in my head, I didn't say this to her, but in my head, I was thinking, that's a choice I'm making. I'm choosing to put on love, to put on kindness, to put on strength or enthusiasm and not overkill. Because people can feel fakeness, It has to come from a place of genuineness so that trust is identified. And if they're dealing with inferiority complexes or insecurity with trust, they'll doubt you in the beginning. But the thing that keeps you there, what you maintain consistency in is the main thing that will keep you there, right? It'll keep you there, right? Promotion is a trust decision, not just a performance reward. People don't follow your intelligence, they follow your regulation. Groundbreaking principles for us. We like regulated people. We like consistently behaviored people. We like stable people, right? All right. So how do you actually become promotable? Right? Well, here's my framework. The HFR, Heart First Regulation, is regulate first. How do I do that, Coach? Take a deep breath into your heart and recognize that your heart has 40,000 neurons. Be proactive in your thinking, which leads to number 2, think, brain clarity. I have a clear thinking process. I am going to get promoted. These I am lists that we've heard through the last 20 years, I am great, I am strong, I am wealthy, I am going to get, if you keep it lodged here and don't drop it here, that's where the disconnect is. Because you can speak and speak and speak all you want, but if you don't believe, then there's no connection. Does that make sense? I have this in my first book. You can read about it. We'll give it to you for free, anyone who gets the assessment. But you can buy it on Amazon in the meantime. Think, Speak, Act, TSA pre-check. Give yourself a TSA pre-check. Think about the connection, right? Speak, align your behavior with your thinking. Because once you get regulated, then you're going to speak differently. This is what I coach with people that get really nervous in interviews, and it works instantly. We call it a quick coherence. And you can look that up at the HeartMath Institute. It's powerful because you don't rise into leadership. You stabilize into it, and they'll feel it. You can even expose it in the interview. You can say, gosh, I can't believe how nervous I am, but I have so much insight into this next role. Let me slow myself down because I want to explain this in detail. You saying that to the head of HR, they're going to say this person is a stable leader to even recognize how to regulate. You show them that you can regulate right in the meeting. That's in extreme cases. It's better to do it before you get in there, but you can do it while you're in there as well. Okay. Another proverb I should inject here is this is a beautiful, poetic, factual, integrated theory that I believe wholeheartedly. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issue of life. So the real issue is not in the brain, it's in the heart. Your career is flowing from your inner condition. Proverbs 4:23. You can look that up. Okay. Just wrapping up. You don't get promoted to the level you perform at. You get promoted to the level you can be trusted at when pressure hits. It's when pressure hits how you regulate in that situation. Coaching a big engineer at Lockheed Martin right now. Lockheed Martin does not pay this guy to be an emotional basket case. I said, stabilize yourself. Talk to them about how you are the candidate to lead this division of engineering because you know how to regulate your team because it's such a high pressure environment, right? So you're doing everything right. So why are you still being overlooked? It's not your performance. It's your internal state under pressure. Tim?
This is great. I'm sitting here thinking about all the interviews that companies do for their C-suite officers, especially the big companies. The big companies, they have all kinds of, from a resume standpoint, great candidates.
Yeah.
How and what they're looking for, the select one, at that point, it's not about performance. If you're applying for the CEO of GE or Intel or Salesforce, you already have the resume. Now they're looking at how is the inner structure of the individual.
Oh, for sure.
And with that, the question here, I'm going to actually go all the way back to the beginning of the show here. I'm looking at my notes here. And because for all of you, I don't get the notes in advance. I'm hearing it the first time.
We do that on
like all of
purpose.
you are. So I'm right here writing notes. But the first thing here is going back to the fact that in our mindsets, we're focused so much on performance and that the promotion is about performance. And so what I want to ask is, how does someone begin to shift how they think about movement and flowing through life, whether it's your career or maybe even other areas of your life, where you need to stop performing and begin to knowing you're being in flow with that?
Being in flow with stop performing and moving into more of a relaxed state is what you're saying?
Or a regulated state.
Regulate. Yeah, that's really the word. First of all, you've got to look up in the Webster's dictionary the word regulation. Because if you don't understand that word, or it's like not comprehensible to you, then you're going to miss this, because this is not a form of weakness. This is actually a form of strength. Think of it as like eating more protein. It's actually building muscle tissue because it's resilience. Restraint is really resilience. It's restraint under pressure. And we all have pressure, including me. I had a little bit of anxiety this morning. I don't know if it was my coffee was too strong biochemically. I know I'm on a plane to LA this afternoon. I've got to finish my packing. I've also had this show. So there was a lot of responsibility on my plate, not to mention staff meeting and emails and all of it. family, right? Breakfast, did I eat? Nutrition. So, sometimes that internal state is regulated biochemically. At the root of it, what we did before the show, I said, come on, Tim, let's pray. Let's breathe for a minute. Am I right?
Yes.
So they know that, I'm living this just as much as you are. That's number one. So get the definition of that word. Number two is it's important that you become conscious of this brain-heart connection. So download some of our articles, visit thehire.net, look at some of our white papers. Read at the clinical level to get through the fluff, because there's so much marketing stuff out there, and we're writing white papers to remove the marketing fluff, because genuinely sincere leaders, you don't need to over promote. There's a lot of this promote, advertise. And yes, we're going to start an advertising campaign to, introduce our assessments into the market. But the most important thing is education, because that's what leads to transformation. And I think we've undermined education for so many years because there's so many self-made successful people who have not gotten degrees. I commend the people who have. So if you're a very analytical person and it's hard for you to emotionally comprehend emotional intelligence, get educated on it. Use your brain strengths to approach the subject matter the way you're wired. If you're more emotional, put on a YouTube channel and start breathing.
I want to pivot here, and I know you didn't talk about this directly, but I do want to bring AI into this conversation.
Good.
Because when you're looking at promotion and performance, AI can perform.
Yes.
It's very good at performing, but
Yeah.
it does not have the capacity to handle or process emotional states.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
so when I hear people talking about, oh, I'm going to get replaced by AI. Well, if your focus is only performance, you
Yeah.
are. But if you know
True.
how to stay stable through rough waters with a team, an organization, a project, a global project that you might be the project
Mhm.
manager for,
Mhm.
AI cannot replace the
No.
stability of someone who is regulated, someone who is calm under pressure to
That's right.
make clear decisions.
True. In fact, I wrote that down. AI is replacing execution. Make no mistake about it. And you have to be prepared for this. They're heavy on knowledge recall, is what I was talking with another executive. Even decision support, like IT support and all of that, right? But it cannot replace regulation, to your point. It can't replace presence. It can't replace trust. I mean, I'm getting frustrated. I was tracking a UPS package the other day. The bot kept interfering. I kept typing agent. Finally, it responded. Because human behavior, we want to feel, touch, explore, communicate with another human. That will never stop, right? And that's exactly why hiring managers are subconsciously selecting the right people, because they're emotionally regulated to monitor the AI. Think about that perspective. They're trying to hire people who are so regulated that they don't get frustrated when the AI doesn't perform. That's huge. McKinsey and Company reports that up to 30% of work activities could be automated by AI, right? World Economic Forum put out that top skills for the future are emotional intelligence, resilience, and leadership presence. That's World Economic Forum, which I usually don't quote. And then Harvard continues to show that executive presence outweighs technical skills in promotion decisions. The more AI grows, the more human regulation becomes the differentiator, period. So you hit it on the head, Tim.
That's absolutely amazing. For people who, I've been in the corporate rat race. I know how it is to get sucked into the speed of things. You always hear about there's agile methodologies and Scrum, and all kinds of new going faster frameworks.
Yeah.
But is going faster really always better?
Gosh. Well, I mean, faster is good. Let's just talk about it. I mean, Facebook, working at Facebook, coaching at Facebook, never employed by Facebook. They had a thing called fall fast, fail fast, get up faster. So as long as the perspective on speed is correct, that you're going to make errors, then there's nothing wrong with it. But if you go into a mindset of, I got to get this done, and we've got to beat it to the market, you've moved into hypervigilance, which actually dysregulates the nervous system. You're back into dysregulation. So if you're aware of speed in the context of we're going to fail, but we're going to get up, then use it to get up faster. Does that make sense? That way you're not always on the edge of fast.
So then, as a regulated person, you can still remain calm, keep relaxed while keeping a high pace of processing and decision making and all of that. Correct?
Yeah, well, that in theory, what you're saying preaches well. But let's get into the concrete evidence.
Yeah.
Studies show that a regulated person does increase function of the cerebral frontal cortex, which is the frontal lobe that's responsible for impulse control, focus, and forethought. So you're absolutely right that in the regulated state, you're more creative, focused, forethought, and you have better reaction ability, regulation ability, not reaction. Reaction too. That word is safe to use, but it's learning how to respond to the reaction versus reacting to the reaction.
Correct.
That makes sense?
That does make sense. And
Yeah.
and I'm targeting, my background, product management, especially software product management. And so there's a lot of speed, there's a lot of moving parts for the senior product managers out there, where you've had between the engineering teams and all the cross-functional teams, there's over 1,000 people working on any given part of the product that you're leading. And I know that marketers and all of that have their own agile things. And as it feels like things are speeding up, you're starting to feel tightness of breath.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to get dysregulated.
Yeah.
And so, Coach, when I start listening to my body, listening to my breathing, how can I ensure that, one, I'm actually feeling the fact that my breath is getting tightened, and two,
Mhm.
what do I do to get back from a dysregulated standpoint back into a regulated state?
3 words: call our office. I'm not going to give away the secret sauce again, but to my gracious heart coherence is, we talked about it in this show. So review it. HFR. That's heart first regulation. Now, I also
Right.
want to mention too, because you bring up a good point about the leadership aspect of it. The most important governor of this regulation is the senior executives. So this is why I come into companies and teach this, and teach it to the leadership teams. It's a top-down approach. I don't teach it to the general public of the company, although I could, but it's most important at the top, because this coincides with something else that we're studying heavily here at my practice, and that is epigenetics. Now, epigenetics is, epi means beyond, right? Genetics. So what is shaping the culture of your organization is you. You as the leader, you as the CEO. Give you an example. Head of HR called me for a big engineering company. Real quick, she says, the CEO is so dysregulated, complete alpha male. He yells at the sales guys that they don't make quota. So everyone's on eggshells. Everybody's completely dysregulated. Why? Top-down approach. So he's actually contributing to the demise of his own organization. So I started working with 2 of his senior executives, and I said, it's important that you regulate in a dysregulated atmosphere. Numbers doubled. They had their best year ever.
Wow.
Unbelievable. It was almost uncanny. But it just goes to show that you can't change the CEO. He wouldn't let me coach him. Too much pride, which was fine. But I did get on the phone with him, and I told him, gave him some high-level points. I hope he adopted him. But the 2 sales guys knocked it out of the park.
Wow. All right. Well, as we wrap up here, any last-minute thoughts?
As a man thinks, as a woman thinks in her heart, so you become. Out of the abundance of the heart, the 40,000 neurons flows the issue. So when you're trapped in the issue of not getting promoted and you're asking the question why, take a 30-second pause. Grab my book, 30-Second Solution. Learn the new principles, enhance your knowledge, and find instant regulation, and watch how fast the promotion comes. If you want more information on organization, keynote speaking, address, one-on-one coaching, through the summer, we're giving away a free consultation. DM our office, shoot us an email here, post on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and wherever social media portals that you have. We'll be there building you up because we're always winning in leadership. I'm Coach Ron Kardashian, my co-host, wonderful co-host, Tim Boyko. Thanks for joining the broadcast.